Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. All right, yeah, I just want to make sure everything is good.
Oh, good, yeah, thank you, I appreciate that.
How are you?
I'm good, Ray. How are you doing?
Good morning, good morning.
Morning.
and welcome to the June 2nd, 2026 City Commission Workshop. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The group in the back's pretty rowdy, I can tell, you know.
It started early today, didn't it?
Especially Claudia. I see she's still talking. Claudia, come on. Yeah. All right, here we go. We're going to start with Pledge of Allegiance. Jen, can you lead us? United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to go to our presentations, and we only have one today. It's the 2026 Juneteenth proclamation. I will turn it to Commissioner Gao.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Teresa, would you please come forward to accept this? I'm excited and I'm honored to be able to read this proclamation for you this morning. A proclamation recognizing Juneteenth. Whereas our nation was conceived on July 4th, 1776, with the Declaration of Independence, which includes the statement, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And whereas on June 19th, 1865, more than 2 years after the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln, Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce that enslaved African Americans were free, marking a significant milestone in the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas this day, known as Juneteenth, represents both the triumph of the freedom and the enduring pursuit of equality, justice, and opportunity for all. And whereas Juneteenth has been celebrated for generations as a time to reflect on our nation's history, honor this resilience and contributions of African Americans, and the recommit to building a more just and inclusive society. And whereas since 1991, Florida leaders and legislators have celebrated and acknowledged through declaration, resolution, designation, memorial, and emancipation of slaves in Florida following the Civil War. And whereas in 2021, Juneteenth was officially recognized as a federal holiday, affirming its importance in our shared national heritage. And whereas communities across the country commemorate Juneteenth through education, cultural events, service, and reflection, fostering greater understanding and unity among all people. And whereas it is essential to acknowledge the historical significance of this day and to continue working toward equity, dignity, and respect for every individual. And whereas Juneteenth will be celebrated in the city of Dunedin with various events and activities, including an Employee in Service Day and community event to provide Dunedin residents and city employees with the opportunity to learn, reflect, and celebrate, like so many others throughout the nation. Now therefore I, Jeff Gao, by the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Mayor of the City of Dunedin, and on behalf of this entire City Commission, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth Day in the City of Dunedin, and encourage all residents to observe this day as a historically significant event in the heritage of our city and nation.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Dr. Teresa Smalling, Director of HR and Risk Management for the city. It is my honor to accept this proclamation recognizing Juneteenth, a day that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States, but also celebrates freedom, resilience, and progress. Juneteenth reminds us of our nation's history, and the ongoing importance of equality, inclusion, opportunity, and justice for all. It is a time to reflect on the struggles and achievements of those who came before us, while recommitting ourselves to building inclusive and welcoming communities in which everyone, regardless of race or ethnic background, has a sense of belonging and being seen. At the city, we recognize Juneteenth during our annual Employee in Service Day to be held this year on Thursday, June 18th. This day is an opportunity for City of Dunedin employees to work together on community service activities, learn from each other, and celebrate our diverse employee population. Our theme this year is Celebrating Our Diversity, Looking Toward the Future. Thank you again for this proclamation in recognition of Juneteenth.
Thank you, Teresa. Picture.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we will go to citizens' input. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on a topic that is not on the agenda? This would be your time to come forward. Name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Come on down.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Sands Martin. I reside at 428 Orangewood Drive, Dunedin,
Is the button
Florida.
pushed there? It is? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I just saw it closer.
that's a first of me not being heard. Okay. Anyways, my name is Kathleen Sands Martin. I reside at 428 Orangewood Drive, Dunedin, Florida. My question is, who is responsible for the upkeep of the Pinellas Trail? I have a rather large dog, and I walk her every day. And from Orangewood to Beltrees, it is disgusting. People are throwing their garbage bags down in the gully side, which would be the right side if you're coming into town. People leave their dog waste bags because there are no containers there that you can drop it off and continue to walk. And the paintings where it shows where bikes should be and walking people, it's not there. And I can't comment past Beltrees except for how it is not up, the upkeep is bad. But I've talked to other people, and it needs to be repainted or something, because you can't tell who's to be on the bike side and who's to be on the walking side. So thank you for listening to me, and I want to thank the commission and the city manager for what they did Saturday or Sunday. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Kathleen. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to come forward and speak on an item that is not on the agenda?
Is it on a particular agenda or any agenda?
Anything that's not on today's agenda, you can come forward about. Okay, if it's not, you'd have to come forward. And you're still on a 3 minutes, so you can't do it twice, so just
Can
quickly.
anybody tell me who is responsible for the upkeep of the Pinellas
Oh,
Trail?
I'll do that. I'll do
Oh,
that. But we
okay.
always take all comments first, so. All good. Thank you. I should have said that, Kathleen, though, so you weren't confused by that. Okay, anyone else in the audience wish to come forward and speak on an item that's not on the agenda? Okay, that being said, now we will respond to that. I should have told you that, so you weren't wondering what we were doing. You want to, city manager?
Absolutely, yes.
If you could, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your comment, Kay. Pinellas County is responsible for maintenance of the trail in that area, and we have made notes. I see our Director of Parks and Recreation has made notes, and we'll reach out to them today. So, thank you.
Yeah, because, I mean, if there's not receptacles there, too, I mean,
Right.
obviously, that's kind of a given. People
I
aren't
feel
gonna
these
know
are
what
pretty
to do.
easy fixes.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, so, sounds good.
But also to teach people just to carry their bags with them, and we don't need to have receptacles every 3 feet because they're too lazy to carry their food bags.
Yes, granted, I do that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, we will go to our workshop item, and our first workshop item is 2A, Dunedin Causeway usage discussion. And I think we want the city manager to kind of kick this one off.
Yes,
So,
thank
Jennifer?
you. Good morning again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. As you know, the Dunedin Causeway has been closed since Hurricane Hilton, and it is under repair. It's currently actively under repair by Pinellas County, which is a good thing. We've been waiting for that and hoping for that and pushing for that for quite some time. It has been called to our attention in several different areas by several different members of committees and residents as well that during the time that the causeway has been closed to motorized watercraft launching, there has been a resurgence of seagrass, a resurgence of the native wildlife in that area. The parking issues are no longer there, the trash issues are no longer there, and all those types of things on the causeway. We received on December 9th of 2025 a memo from the Causeway and Coastal Waterways Committee, a very well thought out memo requesting that the city take action pertaining to the causeway as far as launching of motorized vehicles off the south side of the causeway. We have done our research in the intervening period. Given that the causeway was closed at that point, it gave us some time to do our research. We've been talking to Pinellas County. It is under the jurisdiction of Pinellas County, and so we've had several emails back and forth. We wanted to be sure that this would be the city's call, whether or not to permit launching motorized watercraft off of the south side of the causeway, and in fact, it is our call. They have given us that authority to make that call. And we have that in writing as well from Mr. Tom Washburn, who is their county engineer, so we're grateful for that. I just want to cut to the chase this morning. What we're asking after we do staff's presentation and the research that we've done, some of the input that we've received from boards and committees, residents, and specifically the Causeway and Coastal Waterways Committee, we're going to ask you for consensus direction to allow staff to work with the city attorney to draft an ordinance which would prohibit launching motorized watercraft from the causeway. This would not prohibit motorized watercraft in the Intracoastal or the Sound, because that is under the jurisdiction of the FWC and the state. So we're talking about specifically about launching motorized watercraft off of the causeway. And I have a number of staff here. We all worked on this together after several meetings, including our fire chief, and we're going to do a presentation for you and then ask for your consensus questions and, of course, consensus direction. So thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so we got a staff presentation. Who's taking the lead?
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Nicole Delfino.
You're supposed to be in Tallahassee, aren't you? Protecting our tax money?
We'll talk about that later.
Yes, we are.
Okay, and sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
It's actually a joint presentation, but I'm kicking us off with the first couple of slides. Here to go through kind of some of the history and the background. As far as the rest of the agenda, Tony will, our Parks and Rec Director, will talk about the environment, the current environment. Jorge will also talk about the county ordinance and then the Pinellas County support, and then we'll look at those recommendations. So really quickly, obviously there's a lot of history when it comes to the Dunedin Causeway. It was built in 1963. Typically, it's open for recreational activities from 5 to 11. There's some caveats with that. In the 90s, the City Commission did ban, tentatively, as it was written in the Tampa Bay Times article, launching or retrieving motorized watercraft from the causeway. Also in the 90s, there were some additional ordinances passed both in June of 1990 and then in 1992, which it appears as if the map, which we'll talk about a little bit later, was added in that 1992 ordinance. There were a series of studies from 2005, the Causeway Master Plan, 2012, the Corridor Study, and then moving forward through that, 2014, the Waterfront Task Force Report. In 2019, and Jorge will go into a little bit more detail on this, the county passed Ordinance 1929, which restricted usage specifically on the north side of the causeway. Obviously, we all know where we're at now. Since 2024, the south side has been closed due to the storm damage and the erosion there. In 2025, we had the Pinellas County come and do a presentation to commission in regards to the circulation and access as far as safety goes, which was then implemented. And then that takes us to today, which is where we're seeing that beach renourishment and erosion control. While the county's website states that it's expected to be complete in December of 2026, we believe it'll be a little earlier than that. And so with that, I will pass it to Tony.
Yeah, and I'm just going to jump in so we don't bog down on that, but at some point, you are going to update us on that during all this? Okay, good. Just what that's going to happen out there. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Good morning, Commission, Mayor, members of the public. Tony Mulkey, Parks and Recreation Director. Want to provide a little bit of an overview about the use out there now in the applicable code. Currently, as you can see on the presentation, there is the map that is taken directly from the city code, from the ordinance that was originally passed. Clearly, excuse me. Clearly identifies three main areas of the south side of the causeway. It's divided into an area that has no watercraft whatsoever, another area that allows for non-motorized watercraft, and then the area that is just west of the drawbridge is the motorized watercraft zone that's in between the channel and the land area. The code on this is that essentially it's illegal to operate a vessel within these areas that doesn't conform to those rules on that map. The area is very busy, if anybody's ever been out there on a weekend, very congested, multiple uses, multiple conflicts on that, and essentially you don't see anything on the north side because the county made the decision back in the 90s to forego having any of those types of activities. So they limited kind of the uses to kind of prevent the conflicts and some of the damages, which we'll go into. Again, here's the graphic that's out there on the signs now that's posted along the north side, the county signs. One thing to kind of really point out there is there's no paved ramps. This is not an improved boat launch. This is not any kind of infrastructure that's been provided out there to allow for this activity. It is right from the shore, and that does have some impacts of that. Go ahead. Next one. We'll get into that. This goes into the county ordinance that was passed and is referenced on the signs out there. The first section kind of deals with horses mostly and the damages to seagrass. The second section is essentially just pointing out that any kind of activity out there should not damage the seagrass. And that's countywide. That's not specific to just the causeway. And then we get into the benefits to the environment. And this really kicked off this is a long-term conversation from my research into the history of all the planning for the waterfront and the causeway specifically, that this discussion has been ongoing for years. And the Dunedin Coastal and Causeway Waterways Committee, yeah. Sorry, Causeway and Coastal Waterways Committee, issued the letter in December to really outline the recommendations and provide that to us, which kind of kicked off our deeper dive into this issue. Looking at their concerns and going a little bit deeper, I will kind of reiterate, shoreline launching has a lot of negative effects on the environment, just beyond the seagrass. It encourages bank scouring. It has bottom disturbance, which is very germane to seagrass health, with prop scarring as well as jet wash that can damage those beds for years. It can take 10 years for boat scarring to recover in a seagrass bed. And those seagrass beds are vital habitat for the flora and fauna of the sound and the waterway itself. That bottom disturbance also kicks up sediment, increases the turbidity of that water so sunlight can't penetrate. And then nutrient loading. When you're kicking up things off the bed of the bay there, you're going to get more nutrients into the water, as well as chemical pollution from vehicles coming down to the water's edge. If a reduction of vehicle interaction with the water would have a net positive impact of fuels and other materials getting into the water. And moving on, the continuous noise, wave action, and other effects has a profound impact on wildlife out there. Not only the turtles, the dolphins, the manatees, but also the birds and other animals that frequent that area, some of which are threatened. And then just looking at the multiple uses out on the causeway, anything to do to reduce congestion, to reduce use impact. Even the county's come back and been very supportive of an effort to make this restriction and has proposed doing some other improvements to help the natural area out there and improve the recreation environment. Because this isn't just a place for boating. It's a trail connection from the island to the Pinellas Trail. It is an area for people to just go out and enjoy getting out of the city a little bit. Waterfront access is gold, as you know. And it's been 20 months. There's still jet skis out there. There's still places for people to go and access the water for that type of use. But like I said, I'll circle back. This is not an improved space for boat launching. This is a shore. If you go out there, you will see jet ski trailers or other personal watercraft or other small watercraft with motors lined up side to side to side all along the shore and on both sides. So it's kind of a free-for-all. Mentioned the Causeway Committee to start out initiating this, but we've had a lot of feedback from other committees and other members of the community. Some may have reached out, some are here today, hopefully to speak on their views on this, but just wanted to highlight there's been a lot of support for this effort. So, with that.
Good morning, Michael Handoga, Fire Chief. So when we looked at some of the public safety issues that were out here, Dunedin Causeway remains to be a very busy area for us, especially on the weekends. And a lot of that is driven by the boat traffic and the jet skis when they were out there. So the highlight of this is that we have had 2 fatal accidents since 2020. May 21st, or May of 21, a personal watercraft struck the rear of a recreational boat near the causeway. And then this second occurred in March of 24 when a personal watercraft ran aground on a sandbar near Hurricane Pass and ejected the operator and was later pronounced dead. So it is definitely an area of concern for public safety. We run a significant amount of water rescues. Pretty much all of our water rescue calls are in that general area. And a lot of the call volume, so you look at some of our, the calls up there, like especially with the traumatic injuries, it's very difficult to, a lot of times the calls will come in, it doesn't come in as a jet ski accident, but it's an injury due to something that happened on a jet ski. So this is definitely an area of concern for us.
Good morning again. Teresa Smalling, City's Liaison to the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. We had requested a report from the Sheriff's Office dating from the period before the storms and then the period up through, at the time, April 30th of this year. As you can see from the synopsis, there over almost 14,000 calls, with 80 being jet ski related. There is, you'll see a constant description of on plane, and what that means is that the jet ski is basically speeding through a no-wake zone. So it's on plane, meaning that there's only a small portion that's actually below the water. So, of course, you know, you're not supposed to speed in the middle of a no-wake zone. And then this is only a synopsis. I think you may have the full page. Before the closure in 2024, it was mostly speeding in the no-wake zone. Since the closure, most of the calls have been from jet skis attempting to launch in the closed area or other unauthorized areas. Thank you.
Good morning. Jorge Quintas, Deputy City Manager. I'm going to go over, after this slide, some of the highlights that Tony touched on the ordinance. He kind of robbed my thunder there, but I'll go over that. But my main highlights here have to do with the coordination that we've been doing with the county probably for the last 2 months. I actually spoke to Tom Washburn as late as yesterday afternoon to make sure that we had an update on their efforts out on the causeway. But essentially, we reached out to Tom, and he coordinated and consulted with Kelly Levy, the Public Works Director, with respect to their position and the actions that they've taken on the north side of the causeway, and essentially asked if they would be supportive of a similar restriction on the south side, acknowledging that responsibility and that authority falls on the city. But we asked, would they support a similar position, and they indicated they would. And they, in addition, they also would be supportive of some kind of a living shoreline restoration in certain areas of the south side, and might make some funding available for that, and restricting access if that is the commission's direction moving forward. So those are the coordination efforts that we've been taking with the county as we were preparing this presentation. And yesterday afternoon, based on some inquiries made by the mayor, I reached out again to Tom, and he's actually watching. He said he would be, so I'm sure he's going to relay those comments about the Pinellas Trail as well that were offered earlier.
It's a two-for-one.
So listen up, Tom. So with respect to the north side, the pilot project that they've done there, he did indicate that, obviously a lot of their it's all been done with signage, because you can't put pavement markings down on shell. It just won't last. But he says in their coordination and their interaction with the sheriff's office, they believe it's been relatively successful. There have been minimal issues with compliance, so they're pleased with the outcome of the pilot project that they've been doing on the north side. He acknowledges that the south side, as you may recall, he's come and presented to the commission on multiple occasions, and he's willing to do so again in the future, depending on what decisions are made here and what direction staff is provided to move forward. But he indicated that they will make no changes on the south side without coordinating with the city first. He'll come and present, and they want to work in concert with us in a collaboration to come up with an approach that would be beneficial to both agencies. So that's their update in that regard. As Nicole mentioned, they are a bit ahead of schedule, and they hope to probably be done with the south side grading efforts within the next 4 to 6 weeks, but they will maintain the area restricted until a decision is made to move forward and we come up with a plan going forward. So that's essentially a recap of that slide. And as Tony mentioned, and excerpts from the ordinance, I won't read all of it, but the underlying part, I think, as he mentioned before, that the county commission, the board adopted this ordinance because they recognize the importance of aquatic preserve system and how critical it is to the environment, recreation, and economy. And that ordinance applies countywide, not just on the causeway. But in addition to the references to equine riding and restrictions associated with that, the board recognized that it's not just equine riding that's exclusive to possible damage to seagrasses within the aquatic preserve, that additional activities such as dredging or careless vessel operation also poses a significant impact and damage to those environmental areas. And obviously their interest is in preserving the aquatic area going forward for additional generations to come. So that's really the recap of these next two slides. I can certainly read them to you, but I don't think you want that. So.
Thank you, Jorge. I did want to just really quickly, I know, Jorge.
Brief and brilliant.
Jorge and Tony both mentioned this, but that ordinance is applicable to the entire blue area you see on this map, which is the aquatic preserve identified in that Pinellas County ordinance. As far as next steps go, you all are very familiar with ordinance review process. In order to put something forward before you, we'll work with our attorney in order to prepare that draft ordinance language, which we put a little bit of a timeline on here. It requires advertising for a minimum of 7 days before we get that on a meeting in the future. That would address then the first reading of the ordinance. It would require a second reading, which would again would have an advertising period as well. And then just as an FYI, I suppose, we did take a look at where we're situated or where the causeway is situated in relation to a number of other public, I think there is a private one on this list as well, but public and private launching opportunities that are very nearby, some within just 2 miles. And I included both the distance from the causeway and the distance from the marina just as a reference point to each of those boat launching opportunities.
So, Mayor, as I said, staff's recommendation is that the City Commission move forward with amending Ordinance 14-21, Section 54-32 to prohibit launching of motorized watercraft along the Dunedin Causeway. I have had discussions with the city attorney. It's necessary to adopt that by ordinance, so it's enforceable by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. So, as members of staff would say, this effort really checks all the boxes. It meets many of the elements of our strategic plan, and that was adopted after many months of public input. Our vision for the city of Dunedin is to cultivate a vibrant, inclusive community that treasures its history, champions sustainability, and fosters a safe environment. And our mission is to improve the quality of life for all by listening to the voices of our citizens and providing quality services through responsible financial stewardship. And so we are listening to the voices of our community. I think that restricting access to the causeway is much more reflective of Dunedin and who we are and the quiet, peaceful environment in that area. It also meets strategic themes under environmental resiliency and sustainability and also community amenities. So thank you very much, Mayor.
So before I do questions, so we're not going to hear from our environmental guru, Natalie, about this at all? Or?
No, I'm sure she supports it.
Would you like to say anything about it? Or are you good? Okay. All right, I'll go for questions. I'll start with Commissioner Gao.
Thank you, Mayor. Tony, you talked a lot about scarring and what it does to sea beds. And if anybody hasn't seen it, it really does take about 10 years for seagrass to recover, or the bed to recover. Is there any data on how much of that damage is caused by prop boats versus jet skis that don't have a traditional prop?
Apologies, I will jump in. And yes, we did recruit Natalie for reaching out to a lot of our environmental groups, which did include the Tampa Bay Estuary. They provided actually a very significant study, which I'm happy to forward to you, which through drone footage, it provided this very extensive report as far as identifying scarring and then discussing all those impacts, which is part of the reason why they had written a letter of support as far as being able to have that seagrass recovery, in the causeway and how important it is to the environment. So I'm happy to send that along, and Tony can add as well.
Yep. I found a lot of studies on this. Some of it is just kind of the practice and what the impacts of the different vessel types can impact on this, but I think what Nicole's found is more quantifiable in like progressive type elements, but I do have some resources I can provide to that.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you again. I would appreciate getting that, so thank you. People move here for a variety of reasons. Certainly at the top of that list is our ability to enjoy the water and live on the Gulf. And the freedoms of being an American is I can kind of do what I want unless laws tell me I can't, type of thing. And so if we're going to say no to the jet ski owners that currently enjoy launching there, what's the expectation of, if we're going to take something away from them, what follows? What can we tell them? Where are they going to go? What are those options?
Commissioner, if I could?
Yes?
They can just.
Anybody.
They can
Those
just
are
drive,
general
they can just
questions.
drive right down the road to Seminole Boat Ramp and launch there, which is a good 5-10 minutes away.
Okay, even Dunedin residents?
Anyone can use it.
Yes. Yeah. Mayor, may I?
Sure. Go
I
ahead.
think it's also important that we talk about motorized watercraft and not just jet skis, right? I mean, they're the most visible, but it is all motorized watercraft. So when we're reviewing the impact of this amendment, I think that you're going to hear from some folks who are doing some fishing from, canoes with a little motor on it and that type of a thing as well. So they are launching.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor. Those are all my questions.
Okay, Commissioner DeGard, questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have any idea how many jet ski owners there are in Dunedin? Any inventory on that at all?
No, we talked about that. We couldn't
Okay.
quantify that at all.
All right. And we've had the north side restrictions since the causeway was built, is that correct?
2019.
I believe, is 2019 on that? 2019 was when that ordinance was passed. I believe the restriction goes back to the 90s, though, according to Tom.
The 90s is the north side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. How will this be enforced?
So the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office will enforce, as they are now. You see on the list we gave you from the Sheriff's Office, a lot of launching in areas that are prohibited. So they will be on the causeway as they are, and we are talking to them as well about this ordinance.
Walk me through a scenario where someone attempts to launch.
They typically do a warning first. As you know, their policy in pretty much all matters is a warning first. And then I would assume that they would move to citation. But we can give you an exact step-by-step when we get to first reading as well.
Have we received any calls for opening to motorized craft?
I have personally not.
Anybody else in the city?
We have not received anything through the city commission or that I know of through the city manager's office. I do anticipate that we will get pushback. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor, questions?
So I'm very familiar with these issues and spent a lot of time out there. I really don't have any questions, but I do have some comments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions, Commissioner Sandbergen?
Yes, I do. On that, now the presentation, I guess it was Exhibit A, map number 5 of 18. Southside current environment. Right. Is that today? Is that what we have out there at this time?
It is what is out there at this time, except it's the motorized area has been blocked off since the storm, so that area is not operational.
Okay. Let me go back to my questions. Yeah, that's really changed. I mean, I remember back in the 1980s, bonfires out there. I'm not the only one that remembers that, and I've been part of that group that's launched jet skis, and I know it's a mess. First, I do appreciate, because I brought this up yesterday about our committee input. That was well written, and I was hoping that we would get something to hear from our Dunedin committees. Also, Nicole, really going above and beyond the call of duty to get the local and nearby launch sites, because this will be a real hit to these folks that are planning on doing this. Well, we have an area then, and I know we talked about motorized, and I know it's not just jet skis. Folks can launch their kayaks, their canoes. They will still be able to launch from the parking lot or whatever you want to call it?
That's correct.
Okay. And will there be a designated swimming area so we can keep people safe?
Yes.
Okay. And
It's that area, Commissioner, in blue.
in the blue,
Kayaks, yeah, no, yeah.
okay, that's all right. And does that have buoys out there so that it does keep motorized crafts?
It does. It's
okay.
a vessel exclusion area. It's kind of how
Okay.
it's signed.
And also, as we're talking about the causeway and what we're hitting on here, I may be getting ahead of myself, but I know in the past we've had issues where ice cream trucks have arrived, jet ski rental, different businesses. I see it's been addressed. Are we covering everything that we need to cover going forward?
I believe the commercial prohibitions in the code cover those activities, and they have been able to be enforced.
Okay.
We do get calls on that. Our concessionaire out there lets us know when there's activity happening, so.
Okay.
It's the same in the marina. We usually it takes us some time to chase them down, but we'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing was, if this goes through, can we consider increasing the fine to really put some teeth in this? So rather than, the other day I saw someone, it cost me $20 to park. I'll just take the $10 parking ticket. I mean, can we, if we're going to go this far, can we make this where we really can sink our teeth into the violators, if there are any?
We'll take a look at that when we're drafting the ordinance.
I know it sounded kind of harsh, but I mean,
No,
this
I
is big.
understand.
So,
Yeah, well,
you go get 'em there.
I mean, from the days of having bonfires out there to, being someone that has participated in the jet skiing. So, good. That's all I had, Tony.
I think the statute of limitations is good for you, Commissioner.
So I'm safe after 40 years.
Just the tone of his voice, I'm thinking maybe he's thinking baseball
Can we
bats.
put
and
jail time
Can we
into
get
this?
Guido on them? I don't know.
I'm not the only one that's done that.
And I do have a follow-up.
Yeah, after I'm done. So I vaguely remember when this was around in the 90s, and I know it was pretty controversial. I know it was a packed city hall when it really happened, and the restrictions got put in, and that little area was declared. And I remember the thinking was, and this is going to be a question, gentlemen. And I remember at the time it was, well, we got to give them something. We got to give them some area. So how do we respond to that? That we got to give them something, especially in light of, I believe, we are also going to close this off and not allow it from the marina boat ramp. So I have not had one jet ski person contact me. I have a feeling that's going to change. But tell me what the answer is for that.
So, may I, Mayor?
Yes,
I
please.
think that the answer is, well, I know that the answer is we will redirect them to a boat ramp.
To Jorge, we'll just redirect
Yeah,
him to
an official boat ramp, though, to Tony's point, not a shoreline, but a boat ramp with a proper launching infrastructure, with a proper parking, and so on and so forth. So as far as restricting it and giving them something, for motorized watercraft launching, I think that we can see that the balance between the environment and the little area that has been provided has been very detrimental to the environment. And that there's a reason why access to water is established the way access to water is established via a boat ramp and all those types of different amenities that facilitate, launching vessels. So I think the answer is that we will provide everybody with a list of, of where they can launch their motorized watercraft and encourage them to use an official ramp. It's the best answer I can give you.
Yeah, no, I get it. I love to ride them, by the way. I haven't done it for like 15 years, so last time I took a major spill, so I haven't been back on one. And I am correct, right? We're not going to, our thinking right now is the marina boat ramp is not going to allow jet skis.
Actually, no. What we want to do is restrict the marina ramp to residents only.
Including jet skis.
Including jet skis, motorized watercraft. That said, we need to, I'm working with the city attorney about whether or not we can restrict a public amenity like that to residents only. There are ramps that do it in Pinellas County and other areas that don't. So we can look at a combination of either residents only or a fee for non-residents that would be prohibitive, but we're working our way through that right now.
Come on, Jen. Come on.
I transfer the hot seat to the city attorney.
Why would we not be able to say residents only in a city-owned marina?
So we're researching this right now as to whether or not you're going to be able to. there are,
If you're not ready, you don't have to answer that
yeah,
question.
there are just
It's
some
fine.
concerns that we want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're not inviting problems. And and we really want to know that what we're trying to accomplish, how we can accomplish that. There may be multiple ways. And so which is the best way for the city to go about it?
Yeah, I got you.
So,
Okay.
and if I could just add.
Sure.
Because the Marina Advisory Committee has weighed in extensively on this particular issue as well. So with respect to and respectful of the Marina Advisory Committee, that is the ultimate goal. And we will figure out a way to get to residents only or encouraging residents only at the Marina Boat Ramp.
Yeah, encouraging ain't gonna, yeah, so, okay. I'll let you guys deal with all that, so. No, I think that's a good track. Obviously, the obvious alternative for people would be Seminole Boat Ramp. I don't understand their cost. Does that mean if I go out for the day, it's gonna cost me $20? I mean, most of them have $6, $10. That one has $2.25 an hour or $20 a day. So, I mean, how's that work?
That is what is provided on their website as far as the cost. And obviously, you can see there are some others. Sutherland, which does allow access, is $6, and it's about 4 miles away.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I didn't notice that. Palm Harbor, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. In Tarpon.
And then obviously there's, private vendors as well that have boat launching, and that is a much more significant fee of hosting your vehicle in their location of between $175 to $375 a month.
Okay. Well, when we have 500 jet ski people and 250 of them are Dunedin residents, I want to make sure we've got the answer, even though environmentally I think this is kind of a no-brainer to me. Okay, so, yeah, I think that's my only questions. So I'm
Mayor,
going to
I-
open it to, oh, wait,
Mayor,
I'm
I
sorry,
have
follow
a
up? Yes, I
Yeah,
apologize.
as I always do.
That's okay.
Can you go to the south side current environment slide? One where Steve was, I think it was Steve. South side. There we go. Just, I wanted to clarify, especially for the public who might see this later, where the blue shaded area and where it says no boats / kayaks, is that no boats, no kayaks, or is that no boats, yes kayaks?
No vessels at all. That's kind of the designated swim area, if you wanted to
Very
link
good.
to that.
Thank you. That was it.
Anybody else have a follow-up question? Okay, I will open it up for public input. If anybody wishes to come forward to provide public input, move forward and name and address for the record, even though we know where you live.
Ray Bouchard,
3 minutes.
232 Lee Street, Dunedin. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and everybody here. Thank you. This sounds wonderful that everybody's done so much research. As far as some of the very recent questions, the swim buoys that protect the swimming area, as of last week, there was one white buoy, and that was over toward the rental where the kayaks are. And I swim from there all the way up to mile marker 5, which is just before you go into the bridge in the intercoastal, and there were no other white buoys there. Environmentally, I've sent some photos to Natalie and Nicole a couple weeks ago. The north side, which has never allowed any ramps or access to launch, is fully vegetated with wax myrtle, purslane, which is a low ground cover, and palmettos and things like that. Even after the storm, there was no destruction to that shoreline whatsoever. The photos on the south side, which is where the launch was and the swimming area is, has no vegetation, and that caused part of the reason the county's spending, I'm sure, over $1 million to recoup that parking area. And if we can just use that as an example for the protection of either side, vegetation protects it. Josephine Sagerman, Joaquin Hansen, and Sophia Wickstrom with the University of Stockholm have done researching all over the world. There's some articles that I've shared, which they can share with you, so I won't bore you with all the details, but everything that Anthony and other people have spoken about the importance of the vegetation is in these reports. Any kind of motorized vessel traffic causes this damage. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission found that during a 10-year study that 1 out of every 4 adult manatee carcasses, which they recovered, bore evidence of 10 or more watercraft strikes. I know that's between bladed and also jet skis. Some of them never, they die from that after so many wounds. As a personal note, when I was a kid, we could go out into the Anclote area and even St. Joseph Sound. 4 people within 1 hour could harvest 20 gallons of scallops. In the last 2 decades, scallops have never recovered in the St. Joseph Sound area or in the Anclote area. And even though the northern counties, Citrus, Hernando, and Pasco, open to scallop season, they often have to reduce the season because of the reduction of and the lack of recovery of the scallops. So we need those scallops to help clean the water, which helps the seagrasses and everything else. Tampa Bay is one of the largest estuaries in the world. It's the 2nd largest shark population estuary. Only the Great Barrier Reef in Australia has a bigger estuary for sharks. The sharks are critical to the health of the, am I out?
You are. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Anyone else wish to come forward?
Hit by a jet ski on that beach where you're talking about.
Okay. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak on this issue? Name and address for the record, and 3 minutes. Morning.
My name is Dave Ferguson, 1110 Palm Boulevard here in Dunedin. I'm one of those people that's been using, thanks to the generosity of Dunedin, the causeway to launch my small fishing boat. It's a 12-foot John boat with a 10-horse motor. I have never, ever scarred seagrasses. I am a member of the Sierra Club. I appreciate their work. Although they aren't quite right on some things, I would be a little bit less skeptical if I would see them deal with the seagrass issues around the spoil islands in St. Joseph Sound. The seagrass damage there by boats and jet skis far exceeds any seagrass damage in the launch area along the Dunedin Causeway. The reason I can say with confidence I have never damaged the seagrass is because I have oars on my boat. What I do when I launch on the Dunedin Causeway is push the boat out until it's in a few inches of water, hop in, row the boat out to the edge of the channel, drop the motor, and go. When I come in to land, I lift the motor and either glide in or row into the shore. I also take issue with the fact that there are enough places to launch the boats. Having a little John boat like this, I can't go out into open water. If I'm caught in a storm, I'm in trouble. If I have to launch up at Sutherland and Palm Harbor, I'm in open water. If I launch south in the Sound, I'm in protected waters there. If a storm comes up, I'm probably okay. The waves won't be big enough to bother me, and I can get to a protected area quickly enough to wait out the storm. But if I have to cover that long distance from the boat ramp up in Palm Harbor down to the causeway, and a storm comes up either while I'm in transit or trying to get back or want to go back, either way, I'm in trouble. I have to wait it out, or if I want a chance to storm, not a smart idea in a small boat. Someone on the Waterways Committee actually joked, said, well, what about just putting your boat in the water, rowing out and dropping the motor? Would I be in trouble for that if I launched off the causeway for that purpose? When we talk about the damage to the seagrasses, that is concerning, but I'm also concerned about what happens up in the area where we launch the sailboats, the paddle boards. Skegs are dragged across the seagrass. Sailboats drop their rudders and their center boards and scrape it up. People are out there fishing, pulling up seagrass as their lures hit the bottom and they get stuck and they pull. You've got people wading around and kicking through the seagrass and damaging that area as well. What about us? What about the little guy? We can't afford a place on the water where we can launch our boats off a dock. We can't afford to have a marina. There are ways, and I have talked to a number of people on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Appreciate your perspective. Okay, anyone else wish to come forward and to speak on this issue? Okay. Name and address for the record in 3 minutes.
My name is Claudia Nabel. I live at 1094 Sumo Road in Dunedin. Just a little bit about me, for some of you that don't know me. I am a Dunedin resident, president and founder of Sailability Greater Tampa Bay. I sit on the Coastal Waterway Committee. I was on the Marine Advisory Committee. In the process, we just are with the Coastal Causeway Foundation. We just started a 501c3 to, through the boat club and all the users of the peninsula and the marina. But a lot of us do use the causeway. I realize that, Dunedin does a lot for its citizens, and not only that, the public that comes over here to see what's going on our causeway, the sunset and stuff like that. And the concern is, I thought that the causeway was for non-motorized watercraft, but there are some places, as we learned, that where some can launch, like the John boat this gentleman was speaking about. The concern for me is safety. Having been, I'm a sailor and a kayaker, and I know that when we drop in to go kayaking over by the High and Dry, that a lot of the jet skiers are totally inconsiderate of the people trying to get out on the water. There's a very short distance between where the shore is and getting across the channel. And it's not an uncommon thing for them to try and swamp you as you're cutting across. It's not just for the kayaks. There's kids swimming over there, sailing, stand-up paddle boarding, and just enjoying the sights. And as the fire chief, I believe it was, had said, there's already been 2 fatalities over here. And there's going to be more. I know that prior to this meeting, there was a thing on Facebook being posted by the jet skiers for meetups over on the causeway, and it was a mess. And I didn't go because I probably would have gotten in a fight with someone or something, so I figured, I don't want to bring a bad name to me. But we need to, figure out how we can make everything work for our community. And if there's anything I can do, let me know. It's not that I'm discounting having motorized watercraft there, but there needs to be safety. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak on this issue? I had a feeling you might. Name and address for the record in 3 minutes. Hi, Nancy.
Good morning. Nancy Schmidt, 1380 Daffodil Place here in Dunedin. I feel as I've been in front of this group on a few occasions. I am so pleased to see that the city is in support, the county is in support of this. As a member of the, I always say Causeway Advisory, I don't get into the whole name, member of that committee for years, it has been an ongoing issue dealing with not just the jet skis, but the volume. And you had questioned how many jet skis. There were some back in, in 2023, the Deputy Falahi said there were over 12,000 Class A jet skis in Pinellas County. The only county in the state that has more is Miami-Dade. And one of the issues we deal with is not just the people here in either Dunedin or in Pinellas County, is the volume that comes from all over. I see it on Facebook pages all the time where they announce these jet ski meetups, and we're talking hundreds, almost, they want to get 1,000 jet skis. And they go from all up and down the area, they round Anclote, and I think this is great fun, having large volumes. You never see boats having large volumes, meetups like this. So it is a tremendous volume. They're all on the causeway, they're all blocking up everything. They are doing sales. They are renting to people who have absolutely no experience. I've seen people with babies on jet skis going off the causeway. Again, this has been an issue for years. The Causeway Advisory has mentioned it to the city on a number of occasions, and I wish we could have posted the memo that was sent that described all the reasons why this should be enforced, that we don't have jet skis on the causeway. It cites all kinds of regulations, all kinds of experiences, and it was a really excellent document, and I know it was referenced, but it would have been nice to see it up there as well. Again, there was another issue about where they're going to launch. It's similar to people who have boats. There are a limited number of places that you can go with boats. Even the city of Dunedin has a wait list for boats. And so it's not just related to the jet skis. It's related to anybody who wants to use the waterfront. We are a victim of our success. The causeway is so busy. Even Honeymoon Island is dealing with issues related to the volume. They're having major issues out there. Again, I thank you for your support, and I hope it goes through. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak on this issue? Name and address for the record, and 3 minutes. Hi, Fawn.
Fawn Germer, 971 McLean Street, Dunedin. I was a starving author in 1999 when I quit my job at the Tampa Tribune, and I was a resident of Lutz, Florida. In the worst failure of my life, my book was getting rejected over and over, and for mental health, I came to this place, Dunedin, rented a kayak, and changed my life. I don't know that there are many people who have been to the Causeway as many times as I have since. I've kayaked sunrise, moonset, sunset, oftentimes in the same day. I love this Causeway, and I've seen how it has changed over the years. What we are talking about is not anti-jet ski. It's about public use, quality of life, safety, and compatible activities. The question isn't whether jet skis should exist. The question is whether the most heavily used public beach on the Causeway is the right place for them to launch. Because of the hurricane, for the first time, residents have experienced what the Causeway can be. We've discovered that quiet has value. We've discovered that people enjoy sitting by the water without constant engine noise. We've discovered that kayakers and paddleboarders can launch without weaving through motorized traffic. And literally, the amount of times that I've felt my life has been endangered has gone down. It is almost a sport for some of these jet skis to throw wakes trying to get at us. And sometimes I have a dog with me, and that's really scary. And so I have found great joy in seeing the resurgence of the wildlife, the number of dolphins, the manatees, seeing the seagrass. It's changed, and the attitude has changed. So I was delighted with your recommendation. And I know you're going to get a lot of pushback, and I just want to tell you we'll be there to fight, because this is the right thing. To see in 27 years how this has changed and what it has come back to, it's the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Fawn. Anyone else in the audience wish to come forward and speak on this issue? Okay, seeing no one, I will close public input, and I will go to, you just want some consensus whether or not to keep moving this forward?
Yes, consensus direction, please, Mayor.
Okay, so I'll go to final comments, and within that, if you could kind of share your support or non-support. I will start with Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciated how Fawn packaged that because that is spot on. This isn't anti-jet ski. This is about public use. This is about preservation of our natural resources for future generations. It's about safety. It's about quality of life here in Dunedin, and because all of that is impacting, all of that is being impacted. You know, some key takeaways here is the infrastructure on the Causeway does not support the launching of motorized craft. And Dave, I appreciate your comments on your 10 horsepower John boat. And I wish I could say that everybody out there is responsible as you are. And that's the part that I'm having a problem with regards to that. So, but I do appreciate that comment. You know, the other thing is I'm a captain on the Clearwater Ferry, Caladesi Ferry. And, you know, every time I go through the gates of Honeymoon Island, the rangers tell me, oh my God, you have no idea how much our seagrass and our marine ecosystem has come back. And, that's important because the seagrass affects every living thing in that area. And so without that, the results are not good. Talk a little bit about congestion, and this actually is even kind of outside of the boundaries of the causeway because we still have a large influx of jet skiers that come into that area. And to the comments of the reckless behavior of some of those jet ski operators, I've seen it firsthand. I'm actually shocked that we've only had 2 fatalities since 2020, because case in point, I was driving the ferry, and there was a string of jet ski tourists that were coming in from Clearwater, and they were all in line, and they were going quite fast, and there was one person in this tour was very focused on the leader of that tour, to the point where this person was not seeing anything else around him. And so I'm watching them, they're coming across, and this individual was the 3rd person in line, and literally, I had to throw the boat in reverse because I thought she was going to hit us. And, that's what it is. And there's another thing going on out there, and that's with the storms. I'm very passionate about this, obviously. With the storms, the sandbars have shifted. And with the shifting of the sandbars, that's affected the boat traffic through that particular area. So if you are, let's just say, I'll use the ferry as an example. And again, the ferry operates in the prescribed channels for safe navigation. We are very restricted in our ability to maneuver. So when the jet skiers are running across our stern and jumping the wake and all of that stuff, it's creating a hazard that it is really going to be detrimental to the safety of the individuals out there enjoying this beautiful resource that we have. And I just, we don't have the infrastructure out there. This makes no sense. And so, I'm obviously very much in favor of this. I think, this is high time to have this discussion, especially in light of the fact that we have seen the marine ecosystem come back to the extent that it has since we've stopped allowing motorized watercraft. So anyway, those are my comments.
Are you sure you don't have any more? I mean, just kidding.
Oh, I've got plenty to say, but I think hopefully I made my point.
Yeah, I think you did. Commissioner Sandberg.
Yeah, it's hard to
final
follow
comments.
that.
It
That was
sure
very
is.
well presented, Vice Mayor. That was very comprehensive. I guess the only thing I would tag on with my Vice Mayor is, this does not mean that we're anti-jet ski. It just means you have to launch your jet ski somewhere else instead of right there. I guess all of a sudden I have this, sitting up here, and I know we get emails about memorial benches that were destroyed, and we have people that ask whatever happened to them, and some of them may still, be out at sea. But I guess the vision going forward is, I can see families sitting out there on the bench in the afternoon watching the sunset. I can see just a calming demeanor out there where, you can go out, as a family, you can go out as a couple, you can go out by yourself and relax and enjoy what we have to offer and not listen to the jet skis. And, and like I said, I've heard it. And at the end of the day, for all those folks that didn't pick up their trash and just there to have a good time, just like the folks on the social media, there's just a small handful that make it bad for everybody. So I will be very supportive going forward of making these changes. I know they're big. I'm sure we're going to hear about it, but I think right now it's the best thing for our city. So thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Gao.
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, we have seen some changes on that causeway, right, just over time in general in Honeymoon Island and Dunedin Beach. My father, who was proudly Dunedin's first director of Parks and Recreation, brought hydroplane racing out to the causeway back in the mid-'60s, and it is kind of hard to see that now. But there was a very wise woman, Sylvia Earle, who mentioned there was a time when we truly believed we could not damage our oceans. We could not damage the Gulf. It was so vast and so deep. It was just unimaginable. And here we are today, and that conversation has completely changed. We are well aware of the damage that we can cause to our oceans, to our Gulf. And we're also at the same time seeing the benefits of our waters and what it does. And we're starting to recognize that our Gulf is an economic engine for the city of Dunedin, for Pinellas County, for the state of Florida, and the surrounding states around the Gulf. And for a variety of reasons, to enjoy the water by boat, by jet ski, by kayak, paddleboard, or just to sit on the shoreline. And so I remember growing up, in addition to the hydroplane races, but it was just Dunedin Beach. And populations have changed. And there was no such thing as Dog Beach. There was nothing on the south end. You just went straight out to Dunedin Beach, and I was hyperactive growing up, so I took swimming lessons out there every summer. I almost had my driver's license because Mom just needed me out of the house. And so, but then eventually, all of a sudden, because of population, Dog Beach became a thing out on the south end. Nobody was on the causeway. The causeway were for bonfires and for the teenagers to hang out once the sun went down. And, but look at it now. It's Honeymoon Island. It's the most visited state park in the state. We've got the whole line of the south side on the causeway all filled with people. And to have the passion and understanding of our waters we have today, combined with just the influx of population, we're trying to fit 10 pounds of mud in a 5-pound bucket. And we've got to pick and choose on how we use it. Now, the jet skiers haven't been able to launch there since the hurricanes, which is approximately a year and a half, 2 years ago. They have certainly already found a place to launch. Nobody is sitting at home waiting for us to open that up. And to also acknowledge, Dave, thank you very much. And if we had every boat owner that appreciated the water, that it sounds the way that you do, and to really enjoy it the way it could be enjoyed without damaging it for future generations. We are desperate need of seagrasses, desperately need the oyster beds, and really what really started Florida being what Florida was and could be in the future. So I certainly do support this. I think it is the right time. I'm glad we're having this conversation. And I look forward to the ordinance coming before us again. Thank you.
Commissioner DeGard, final comments.
Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner DeGard, final comments. I didn't have my mic on, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the citizens that have come forward today. It has been very helpful. Dave, particularly your comments. There's an expression that a good lawyer friend once told me. Jennifer, it was a lawyer friend. Even the thinnest pancake has two sides. And I wanted to hear the other side, because as issues come to us, we have our own opinions and feelings on those issues, and we can't let those take hold of our final decision. We have to try to seek both sides of the question, if you will. And my instant reaction to this one was, of course we won't have powered or motored vehicles go off the causeway. But that was an instinctive response on my part. And so I wanted to hear the other side, and you presented it quite eloquently. And I wish there was a way for us to allow your kind of recreational behavior without opening the door to the others. My calculations are that somewhere between 3 and 10% of the population inside this county, thanks to the numbers that were given to me today, benefit from jet skis in some fashion. That's not a large segment of our population. We're allowing them to damage a body of water that benefits all of us. So that means that 90% must deal with the damage for the benefits of a 10% population. I'm afraid that equation doesn't work. For safety reasons, for sound pollution reasons, for just our sense of well-being as a community, I find myself in one place, and that's supporting this particular question. I wish we could keep those people that do respect our environment with access to this, but the problem is the edges will always be tested. And I'm afraid I can't vote for that. So I'm in support of this initiative, and I hope that we can see this quickly. I think it will come in July, is that correct? If it's July?
July. My understanding is it's not land development code, so it does not have to go to the local planning agency.
That's correct.
It will come straight to you.
Very good. I'm in support. Thank you, Mayor.
So I'm also going to thank you, Dave, because it's always good to have that view that, you know, there's someone else who works hard for the environment with another point of view, and what you said, it has an impact on me. It kind of took me back. I'll give a little analogy that I thought about. When I first moved to Dunedin, I lived in Scottsdale condominiums, and I had a little 50cc motor scooter, and I couldn't park it at the condominium place because we weren't allowed to have any kind of motor scooters, right? So everybody, all the condominium owners said, Mo, we're going to change the rules. We're going to let you have that motor scooter because this is stupid. You got to have a storage area, and you got to keep it there, and you got to drive there. And they all rallied, and then they got together finally. They talked about it, and they decided, oh, well, if we do that, I bet we're going to get a bunch of motorcycles, and we're going to get all this other stuff. And they said, Mo, we're sorry, we just can't do it. And I got it. I get it. And I think it's the same thing. I just think that, you know, it's not you. Your story is great. And I have no doubt that you do everything responsibly. But I do think Vice Mayor, you did a great job at just bringing it all together. Fawn, I think you did a great job of bringing out some great points too. But I think that it's crowded out there. It's not a good compatible area. It's not made for that. I mean, I just watched the movie Remarkably Bright Creatures over the weekend with Sally Fields and all the creatures of the water. And, you know, there's a part of me that says, oh, we got to have a place for the jet skis. But most of me just says, no, we don't. You know, this is too crowded. It's not meant to be there. And at some point, as a country, we've just pushed out, you know, a lot of things with our wildlife for our own, you know, things that we want to do. And yeah, this is one time I think the creatures got to win. And I'm definitely supportive. But again, I will clearly, as we move forward, we got 2 public hearings, and open to hearing what people have to say. But I think my mind definitely went to this as a very logical path, the right path, and that there are some alternatives, and we just need to direct people that way. So I'm in support of it moving forward. So.
Thank you, Mayor. We have our consensus direction moving forward. We will work with the city attorney to draft the ordinance and have it to you for first reading as soon as possible. Just to reiterate something that the deputy city manager said, that the county has committed to keep the causeway closed even after the repairs are completed until we can put this ordinance in place and make it enforceable. We are working with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office so that, particularly Captain Brandon Harvey, so that they are aware and ready to enforce. Also, excuse me, to Ms. Schmidt's point, the Dunedin Causeway and Coastal Waterways Committee did submit the, as I mentioned, the December 9th, 2025 memorandum. It's very well thought out. I'm going to ask the city clerk to attach it to this agenda item retroactively so that we have it read into the public record moving forward. And of course, we will attach it to the ordinance at first reading as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, and I do want to give a shout out, all of us do, to the Coastal Committee. Nancy, you as the head of that, and all of our groups that kind of used the causeway. I think your comments were great. I think bringing it forward, certainly Ray, a lot of very valid issues, and you guys brought this to our attention while things are where they are, so that when we do reopen that whole area, that it'll kind of, we'll set it out straight. So we appreciate that involvement. It means a lot. So it goes to show how important our committees are. So. Thank you for being here today as well. And we will expect you at the public hearings, no matter how many jet skiers there are. Okay. All right. And Dave, again, appreciate your comments, and I'm sure we'll get some more of those as this moves forward. So thank you all, and we're going to take a short break and before we move on to the next item. Thank you for that. going to reopen the meeting and go to 2B, which is fiscal year 2027 City Commission line item budget discussion. And I will turn it over to Les and Jean.
Great. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Les Tyler, the Finance Director, and I'm here with Jean, our Budget Manager. This item is the 2027 City Commission draft budget that we walk through with the Commission every year. A couple of exhibits in there is we have Exhibit A in the staff report, which includes a summary of the fiscal year 27 Commission budget. It also shows actual cost for fiscal year 25, also shows actual costs for the first 7 months of 26, and then the original budget for 26 and the proposed budget for fiscal year 27. Exhibit B is a little more detail, and that staffing includes a line item budget for the fiscal year 26 original budget and also the 27 draft budget. A few items I'd like to just briefly go over, looking at Exhibit A for a minute. Exhibit A, salary and benefits have increased, and that's due to a projected increase of 15% for insurance costs in fiscal year 27 over fiscal year 26. In the operating cost area, we've got some decreases actually in 27 compared to 26, and I'll go over a few of those highlighted ones. First, internal service fund allocation and the building maintenance fund allocation for our ISF funds decreased citywide in 27 by about $11,000 in total. Decrease for the City Commission's budget. Staff still fine-tuning the IT services budget. We don't expect it to change by much. For most departments, both those cost centers or ISF funds reduce their cost in 2027 compared to prior year. And I want to mention early in the 27 budget process this year, finance staff worked with all departments to reduce operating costs in the general fund. We actually did that for the entire city, but focusing on general fund for a minute. We asked that all departments try to reduce their operating costs. Overall, citywide, we reduced our operating costs by just under $1 million in total in the general fund. And within the City Commission's budget, we also reduced some of those costs, and those are some of the ones you're seeing in that report in Exhibit A. The line items, another line item reduced was we did reduce training costs in 27 from $1,500 to $1,000 each for each commissioner in 2027 compared to 2026. Another one is books and publications. Books and publications and subscriptions budget we reduced by $3,900 in 27 compared to 26, and that was due primarily to we reduced the National League of Cities amount by $3,900 for the membership dues, and planning that the membership dues will not be renewed in 2027 for that subscription. Also, another big part of the budget is the aid to organizations. The budget in 2027 is for aid for our civic partners and our grants to nonprofits totals $222,000 in total, and that's the same as the 26 budget. We've not changed that. We've got the same placeholder in 2027. And also want to mention that the grant applications are currently out. They've been out for about 3 weeks now, and they are due back from the social cultural nonprofits by June 12th. Their grant submissions are due by June 12th. And also we're projecting our first meeting with the Aid to Organization Subcommittee to be in early July. That concludes our general comments, and be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Starting Vice Mayor.
You know, Mayor, I don't really have any questions on this.
Commissioner Sandberg?
I have no questions, Mayor.
Commissioner Gao?
No questions, Mayor.
Commissioner DeGard?
I wish I could do the same. Walk me through the process on how this got here today, just step by step, so I understand how this got here and what we can do with it after today.
Sure. Well, we began the budget process back in January. Department started with the capital budget, and they prepared the capital budgets, had 3 weeks to prepare that, working with the finance department. Then we started the operating budget process. That was opened up about 2 weeks later, and that was open for another 3 weeks. And then, so that took about 2 months roughly. Then we, Jean and I take all that information, vet it, and then we meet with the city manager and the assistant city manager with our draft numbers, and we present that to them. And then we begin, one of the key parts is then we begin the meetings with the departments. We have meetings with every department, with the city manager's office and the finance office, walking through everyone's budget in detail by line item, and city manager asks questions, makes changes to some projects get moved or pushed out along that process, but we vet every department with the city manager for all funds, including the general fund, and then we are currently, our process now is actually back up for a minute. We also, during that process in early January, we did that effort to reduce operating costs. We wanted to try to reduce costs this year. We worked with all the departments, all the funds, and I mentioned that we were able to reduce it by about $1 million in the general fund, pretty close to that, which was, it was worth the effort. It was pretty happy with how it turned out. And we did that based looking at prior year actuals. We looked at prior year actuals, working with departments, and there's a trend there, and and then working with them that maybe you don't need that budget, that line item, and then reduce them throughout the departments. And now we're basically, developing the long-range plan, and we're, our goal right now is to have the proposed budget completed before June 30th to present to the Board of Finance, and then and of course the City Commission, and then we have our workshops 1 and 2 in July and August.
So this is the first time the commission has actually interacted with the budgeting process. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay. We have a number of issues year to year that are different. For instance, this year is the 50th anniversary of our relationship with the Blue Jays, which is going to be a heavy burden financially on many of us because the amount of allowance dollars that we have for travel is could be consumed by that in and of itself. When we have that kind of situation, how do you put that into the budgeting process?
Well, we do look at that, and I mean, this draft was presented working with City Manager's office, this draft here. And again, this is a draft. This is a draft open for discussion and changes, and that's why I had this meeting, quite frankly. We want to make sure that we walk through the commission's budget with the commission and make sure that nothing's changed or there's, but we went through working with that, trying to, present a reasonable budget at this meeting today, but again, this is just a draft.
That would be good.
Thank you. And actually, when we do a trip like Toronto, the liaison and the mayor are usually budgeted, for additional travel for the Toronto trip. You talk about that in December when we talk about what travel. And for example, when we went to Scotland, we actually incorporated that within the budget as well. So then the remainder of the commissioners, if they elect to go, either private pay or they use their travel. And if there's enough travel, then they private pay the remainder, being very clear that any spouses that go are paid privately.
On the expenditure line, down here at the bottom, I see the actual for my, I'm going to pick on myself here, is 6,016. Does that take into account the amount that I paid back into the city in some way? Or is that a net or a gross number?
The 615 are the actual expenses for that year. No, actually, the 615 is the budget for 2026. Excuse me, total budget for 2026.
Oh, that's the actual. 616 is the actuals for 2025 is what I'm looking at there.
Hold on a second here. I'm looking for that number here.
Oh, are you looking at a specific account?
I'm looking at the commission summary budget, my line item, Dugard Commissioner, 616 actuals. Am I looking at that right?
And that's 2025?
That's right.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
That's
And the budget was-
6,016.
And the
right.
budget was 3,000. Is that correct?
That's
for that
correct.
period? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note for our citizens and my colleagues that we are asked to participate in a number of things that expends that very quickly. I mean, if we go to Tallahassee, if we go to state meetings, if we go to Toronto, that money is out of our pocket after $3,000. Just keep that in mind
Very good
as
point.
we go forward. All
Very
right.
good point.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, is it on that same one? Yeah, go ahead.
That it's interesting because I can see what Tom is reading. And there's such a big difference between, for example, the mayor and Tom, and the mayor and myself. Is there any way to get an itemization of where that money went, how that money was spent?
Yeah, we have that. We have all the detail, and we can provide that to the commission for sure.
I would really, I mean,
Sure.
I'm not as worried about these guys, but I'd like to see it for myself.
Yeah.
That's all I had, Mayor.
So if I may, Mayor, we'll provide that for all 5 of you then.
Okay, so, yeah, and that being said, I mean, one of my areas was, I'm just one person, I do not think we should decrease the training area down to 1,000. You know, training and education or travel and education used to be in the same line item because they are, they kind of offset each other. And I think they can still offset each other, even though I understand why we put them in 2 different line items. But they really are our only expense accounts that we can use. We don't make a lot of money. I don't want to, we don't need to be adding more impact to people pulling money out of their own pocket when we don't make a lot of money. Nobody's getting rich on this job. The pay is very little. And I think the least we can do is make sure that our travel and education accounts are appropriate. They're not excessive at $3,000 and $1,500. And I don't think we should be decreasing them even $500. Now, I know to me, I mean, even if we had to if we have to do some of our decreases, I think there's some other areas, and if we had to, even in the aid to private organizations area, because we usually keep a little extra there for groups that come in during the year. And, but I don't think that further burdening a pretty cheap labor cost to the commission is the area. That's just my opinion to the group. Is everybody okay with leaving that at 1,500?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Okay, other than that, I don't really have any other questions of it. I do agree, and I think, sometimes, we are expected to be a lot of things, and it's a commitment of time, but, you don't want it to be overburdensome. And again, I will look beyond myself, because I can personally pay. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm comfortable, and I can pay for a lot of stuff, but at any given time, if we want people to be willing to volunteer and take this job on for very little pay, we can't expect them to be reaching in their pocket all the time. So anyway, those are my comments on that. Anyway, I think you guys did a good job. I don't have any other. Sure.
I think there is a pattern here, and it can be addressed without making a broad change to our budgeting process. Freshman commissioners are asked to participate in everything, to be part of the process. In that first year, you may make allowances for freshman commissioners coming on board so that they feel freer. And by the way, they have no line of sight to what their expenses are going to be for the whole year. No. So my number there was me saying yes too often. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, good. Noted, good point. Thank you.
Unless I'm wrong, all of the commissioners altogether offset any of that grace that needs to be given in terms of not going over budget overall.
Yes.
And I think that's the important thing. We're all pretty good about if one goes over and the other doesn't, trying to offset each other, because we're all up here trying to do the right things.
Right.
And honestly, I don't want training to go down because I almost went to, and I know many mayors are going to the National Mayor's Council or Mayor's event this year. We just had too much going on. But I don't want to not be able to do that. And trust me, that will right away eat up that $1,000 for the registration fee. So, okay, great.
Mayor, if I can?
Yes.
Just a point of discussion, if nobody saw it, just the idea that looks like we are backing out of the National League of Cities. And that's all I'll say about it. Just if we're okay with it, we're okay with it. But I just don't want to cut off our nose to spot our face.
I figure if Nicole's okay with it, we're okay with it.
Yeah, I think saying
Yep, we're okay with it. Okay, great. And and I know our Florida League of Cities connects us because I've done both, and honestly, I think our Florida League of Cities does a great job of doing both jobs, so. Okay, so, all right, we'll move on from there. That's all you need from us? Are we
That's
good?
it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, both. Okay, we're going to go to the next item, which we don't have to vote on, but it is a new item that was not on the agenda. But since it's a workshop, that's okay. It is,
Did you want to do public input on that item?
sure, sorry. If there's anybody that would like to speak on the city commission line item budget discussion, anybody in the audience wish to come forward and speak to that, this would be your time. Seeing no one, I will close public input. Okay, so we go to property tax reform discussion, which is happening right now in Tallahassee. And I will turn to city manager first, and then I know
Ask
Nicole is
Nicole to
going
come
to.
up. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is a start item on our agenda, which means it was placed on the agenda yesterday afternoon. And the reason that we requested that the city clerk place it on the agenda is certainly out of transparency that we're going to be discussing this item at the workshop this morning. This is obviously a very dynamic process right now. I know that the House and the Senate are in session in Tallahassee discussing property tax reform, that there is a bill that is processing through that's come out of committee. It is, I think, on the House floor right now, or Senate being debated. I know that Nicole Delfino was listening last night till about 9 o'clock to a Suncoast League of Cities, I believe.
It was actually the Senate committee.
The Senate committee discussion. So we don't have a great deal of information for you right now because it is so dynamic, but for the fact that the bill that is currently being debated in fiscal year 2028 at $150,000 homestead exemption, an increase to $150,000 homestead exemption, the revenue decrease for the city of Dunedin would be $4.2 million, and in fiscal year 2029, increasing the homestead exemption to $250,000 would decrease our revenue by $6.3 million. So we are currently in the middle of our budget process, having prepared a budget for all of you and for the Board of Finance, and this would change things. It would go to referendum if it gets out of the House and Senate today or tomorrow. I know the session is finished tomorrow. If it gets out, then it would be on the referendum for November, which would impact our budget process most certainly. So, but we just wanted to give you a kind of overview exactly where we are right now as far as we know. But like I said, it is constantly changing, and talk a little bit about putting together, once we know what it is, a fact sheet for all of you to have in your back pocket to talk to your constituents about, and also to chat with you a little bit about the communications plan moving forward should it get out of the House and Senate today and be a referendum. So, Nicole, you want to talk about where we are right now?
Sure. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Nicole Delfino, Strategy and Sustainability Manager. As Jennifer mentioned, this is a kind of a constantly moving situation. I actually just pulled up the Florida channel. They're in debate on the Senate floor. I was only looking at the Senate side at this point. The Senate and the House's bills are identical, is what they claim, but amendments are being filed left and right. I think there were 7 or 8 amendments on the House side yesterday, and there were several amendments, at least as many on the Senate side. The debate was very robust yesterday in the Senate committee hearing. The meeting did last for 6 hours and 15 minutes. It did end up passing out of that committee 13 yeas to 5 nays. And I will say that there was really good discussion, and I think that even on the Republican side, they're looking to see some additional changes to the bill language before they can really support it off the floor, or so they had stated yesterday in committee. So I'm hoping to see some additional amendments come through today that may make it a little more tasteful. I think one of the largest issues that is being discussed at this point is simply the name of the bill, Save Our Homes from Excessive Taxation, is what would go on the ballot. This is a little different than what would come up through a resident petition, because that would require a Supreme Court review of the ballot language. This does not require a Supreme Court review of the language if it's passed out of the House and the Senate. There may still be an opportunity that would be looked at or what's the word, Jennifer? Or addressed as far as that language being fair. There was a lot of discussion around that language yesterday and how it would be interpreted by residents, because as a lot of us know, not a lot of people are going to go and look further into what that means. They're going to save our homes from excessive taxation, and of course, who doesn't want that? So the language right now, I think, is one of the items that they want to see addressed, so that when it makes it to the ballot, that residents have good information as far as the losses that they're going to see in service in exchange for their reduction in property tax. So that's very high-level summary as to where we're at. Again, they are debating on the floor the calendar for today's Senate. I have not looked at the House this side. Was 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I do believe their goal is to get something voted off the floor today. What that is going to look like at this point, we're not entirely sure. Amendments that did pass yesterday included putting the schools back in as being exempted from this issue. There were some additional amendments that also passed as far as removing the trust fund component from the bill that we all heard the governor talk about, creating this trust fund. There were probably more questions around the trust fund than there were answers, because it's not clear as to who would qualify to receive funding from the trust fund that has no money in it, and the fact that they have no dedicated revenue stream to allocate towards this trust fund. Additionally, there was, more discussion as to, obviously fiscally constrained counties. Really, it sounded like the fiscally restrained counties would be the priority to addressing those shortfalls, because they will be basically wiped out of any revenue sources at this point, just because of the value of their homes. There were obviously additional amendments that did fail, so we're hoping to see some amendments today. I will be watching the rest of the debate after this and see where we land.
Okay, questions, starting with Commissioner Gao.
No questions, Mayor.
Commissioner DeGard.
So by the end of this week, we're going to know what we've got coming out, do you think?
I think by today we're going to know what we've got.
Okay. No more questions.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I just kind of maybe understand a little bit the path from January when we went to Tallahassee and here. If I recall, when we met on the Senate side, that they were going to be the voice of reason, and they were going to provide a little bit more of a conservative approach to the increasing of the exemption. I guess, do we have any insight from Southern Group or anything you've observed? I mean, what happened? That was allowing me to sleep at night.
Yeah. Well, it definitely was not allowing me to sleep at night. Senator Avila is from South Florida, from Miami-Dade. He presented the bill yesterday. The bill is a direct reflection of the governor's plan. Basically took the governor's plan and put it into a bill form and submitted it. I believe Senator Avila was selected specifically for that reason, and this was part of the debate yesterday, due to his community and his representation. He sees a lot of waste, a lot of fraud, a lot of excessive spending in Miami-Dade, as do many of his counterparts, other House and Senate representatives that represent that area. And so for them, this bill is really addressing that issue. While there was discussion that obviously not all Not all municipalities and cities and counties are run in that same way. And so, why are we addressing something that needs to be handled in South Florida, and we're affecting the whole state through this process? But again, that was part of the debate. It's a priority, unfortunately, a priority of the governor to want to see this impact. And I think you've got representatives who are willing to bring it forward, who don't represent Dunedin, don't represent similar communities, who are fiscally responsible and run to the best of our ability. So that's all I can really offer on that.
I appreciate that. Any sense at all, okay, let's just assume that this gets approved and goes to referendum. Have there been any surveys or polls on public sentiment at all to this point, or has it been kind of silent?
FLC actually presented a session last week at the conference that Jennifer and I were at on Friday afternoon, as well as holding a call on Monday. I think the polling that they referenced was right at that cusp of whether it would pass or not. The comments that they have made is that typically with a referendum like this, the highest poll is right when the bill or the item is announced. And then once people start understanding all of the components of it, then that's when the polling tends or trends to then go down from there. So there is some hope with that as far as being able to educate and provide information to our communities, that we can be able to present that information. I know that's what we were trying to do early with the property tax forums, and I think repackaging some of that information and then putting it out again, providing you all with the fact sheets, getting the information out. If you've been on social media in the last day, lots of cities and counties are putting out all of their own information, very similar to what we've presented. So that's one kind of part of things. Again, whether it's challenged with the language, that's another component that they're looking at. If some city, municipality, judge, however that is brought forward, whether the language is challenged, and that either it needs to be revised or whether that will prevent it from moving forward.
Yeah, and just thank you for that. One of the questions I did have is what is the county doing? And because I have not seen anything from the county.
The county has maintained a pretty quiet perspective on this. I know Les has been working, with Mike Twitty. They have been working on, providing information and data as every request that we have asked of them. They've been very responsive to that. They've put a toolkit, so to speak, out as far as the impacts of the bills. But as far as them taking a stance, I just haven't seen it publicly.
So, may I?
Sure, go ahead.
The last conversation I had with administration at the county, and that was quite some time ago, was that they were going to wait to see exactly what it is before they took their position and really started their campaign. So, and one thing I was going to say, if I may, Mayor, and I'm sure Jennifer will weigh in on this, once it is scheduled for referendum, at that point, we turn to an education platform. And we have taken a position on this, obviously, through our public tax reform forums. But at this point, then we would provide the City Commission with exactly what this would mean, the impact on the organization, and then it would be up to us and to you all to educate your constituents.
Yeah, and I thank you for that.
Can I just add? Yep, go ahead. But it's my understanding, as elected officials, we can provide our opinion.
Yes, you can provide your individual opinion.
Right. As bluntly as we want to. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Preceded by my individual opinion is.
Correct. Right. Absolutely. No
Yeah,
problem.
Not speaking on behalf of the city.
Gotcha. Yep.
Well, because I heard something with regards to this, and I don't know how true it is, but and it was in the form of a kind of an opinion editorial that, and you can say, if you can just tell me if this is, you know, if you've heard anything like this, is that essentially there is membership in the state legislature that put out worst case and see where it falls. And with the anticipation that, okay, maybe it doesn't pass, but there's still the political part of it where people get credit for supporting this extremely draconian measure. Just if you've heard anything like that,
I personally would agree with that statement. Would agree with that statement. And I think that it would have seen less success had the schools not been exempted out of it, because obviously, you know, where do schools get their funding? There, you know, that's kind of not really ever been the target, so to speak, of this bill, of this language. So yes, happy for the schools. I have public school children myself, you know, that they will continue to maintain that funding if this goes through. But again, I think it would have been more beneficial as a whole to see it fail if it would have remained included, which I think was the intent.
got it. Okay, well, thank you so much for that, and that's all I have.
Good questions. Commissioner Sandberg, any questions?
So if this happens, it'll go on the November ballot, correct?
Yes.
So it still would have to, at that time, receive 60% support, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And just reading like this one paragraph, increases the exemption from 50 to 150 beginning January 2027. So the piece of paper that we were provided, that the first time that we would feel that would be fiscal year of 2028?
That's correct.
Okay. And you know, just without getting real deep, if it was a $4.2 million hit, could we come out of it really unbruised, or would we come out bruised?
Very bruised, yeah.
Very bruised?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I had, Mayor.
So, Nicole, who's asking tough questions up there that seem like they're trying to get to a logical place for this proposal? Who's asking the tough questions?
From what I've seen from the Senate committee, typically our Democratic representatives are the ones that are questioning a lot of the language in the bill and what is included and what is not included. There was a very long discussion about the exemption list, so to speak. The presenter of the bill said that it was written very broadly with intent so that just about everything could fit into the exemption list, of which then was questioned, well, why would you even have an exemption list in the first place? There was really not a response to that, but other than the fact that, you know, anything that the city or county should be doing as far as providing essential services would fall under one of those categories that's in the exemption list.
This could be the same question in a different way. Who is speaking on behalf of the tremendous loss in service money for local government? Who is speaking to those questions?
From what I have seen in watching the committee meeting, it is the senators that were on that committee yesterday, Senator Pizzo, Senator Polsky, Senator Sharif, Senator Smith, and Senator Berman are really asking those tough questions.
Who from our delegation is asking hard questions?
We did not.
And asking on behalf of local government concerns?
We had 3 members from the Pinellas delegation on that committee, Chair Hooper, Vice Chair Roussan, and Senator DeSigli. I personally did not hear any of their comments if they were asking those questions. It was a long meeting. I had to step away a few times.
I bet you did. I bet there might have been wine involved in those stepaways, right?
Yeah. That's the...
Is this $5.5 million fund that the governor wants to promote his position going to happen?
There will be no fund. They don't have the money. The state itself is facing a several billion-dollar deficit in their future years. They have to deal with their own problems, so to speak. So as we've seen with a number of other funds that are, constitutional, they don't necessarily get funded as they are supposed to, or pay for the items that they are supposed to pay for. The comment yesterday, as far as the amendment with that trust fund goes, was that they would prefer to handle it legislatively and let their future senators and representatives decide how much funding will be allocated into that fund and how it would then be distributed. They called it kind of it would be grant, applications. But again, there's no definition as to how those will be rated, who would benefit from them, how much there would even be available. I wouldn't count on it at this point.
This is in, I'm going to go down the road of the Vice Mayor. This is in the rumor department. This rumor that the sheriffs of Florida are keeping quiet because they have a lot riding in the current budget approval that has yet to be done by the governor, and because obviously I don't know how they'll come out with the taxes, but I mean 50% of the county's general fund budget is the sheriff, and which leaves not a lot to deal with the rest of the demands that they have. Are you hearing anything about that?
From what I saw, the audience was filled, and almost every person in the audience was a sheriff or fire representative. So I don't know that it's necessarily Pinellas County that was in the audience, but there was a lot of representation.
Meaning in opposition, or?
Yes, in opposition, because this bill does not, as prior bills that we had seen during session, does not remove fire or police, although there's a police caveat, so to speak, that exists in other legislation, but
Trip Barr was there, and he did make a comment during public input.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out.
I just wonder if, Mayor?
Sure.
I just wanted to add in, I know we're focused in on the homestead part of this, and that's certainly one aspect of the bill, but understand the bill does several things. So first, it does the homestead exemption. It also would affect the amount that could be assessed against non-homesteaded property, and then it also further limits how you could spend any ad valorem. So there are only specific categories that you could spend ad valorem on, and they're not all of the items that you currently spend ad valorem on.
So that's a great comment. So would the current use of any ad valorem tax be allowed for Little League fields?
So that was where, that was a lot of the debate yesterday, was there was a senator asking who pays for code enforcement officers, who pays for permit staff, where does that fit in? I feel like there's not an answer to that. The bill sponsor had said, well, that falls under infrastructure, so that can go into that category. So again, that comment about how those categories were written so broadly was that, you should be able to fit in everything that you should be doing as far as providing essential services into one of those categories. I think it is very vague, but there is no clarity because there's still those questions that did not provide a direct answer. Where does this fit? The question was asked, where do libraries fit? Well, libraries are education. So, again, it doesn't specifically say libraries. The bill sponsor said that it could include libraries in the debate, but it's not actually written in the bill. So I think that we're going to end up having more questions, more challenges, once as this moves forward to really understanding what is and is not included in that language.
Who knows, right?
I'm going to say, let's throw it in infrastructure with everything else.
And Nicole, if I'm understanding, and not to interrupt, Mayor,
Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
That's fine. Go
Is
ahead.
that all these questions that we all still have will be resolved by the end of the day today?
Yes.
No, I
Right.
did not say that. I think the only thing that will be resolved today, if not tomorrow, will be whether or not this is going on the ballot. The questions have not been addressed. We will see, if we see additional clarifying amendments, which we did see one yesterday, then potentially some of the questions will be cleared up. But no, I think that we will be leaving this as we have left just about every law that's passed this last year, with more questions than answers. I know how you love a bad bill made better.
Not sure I'd be in the new group of first 5 years wanting to move to the state of Florida under this either. They will be even more crushed. But that's the goal. I'm not sure what the goal is here. Maybe that is the goal. I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to go to final comments unless there's something else that you guys have to add. First of all, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak to this issue? Olivia, there's a good chance for you as our intern. You're our future, so.
Mayor, I do have some questions, if you don't mind.
Oh, you have more questions? Sure, go ahead.
What a surprise coming
No,
from me.
it's okay.
We have an idea of where the Florida League stands. Do we have an idea of where the Suncoast League stands?
Yes, the Suncoast League also wrote a letter from its membership that they had advanced to the delegation and beyond, which is one of the reasons why we actually also followed up with a letter yesterday sent from the mayor on your behalf, citing several, very specific positions that the city of Dunedin takes. But yet the Suncoast League, we are all in very close alignment, Florida League, Suncoast League, and our own interests.
Okay, and just broadly, who is involved in the Suncoast League?
The president currently is Andy Ross, mayor of Temple Terrace. Our vice president is, I apologize, I did not have all the names ready. His name is Jacob from Safety Harbor. And then the third VP is Karen Rafferty from one of the Bel Airs. I don't want to get it wrong, so Bel Air Shores. I believe. But they have been doing, I will say, I think the Suncoast League has been doing a really good job. Membership has been a big focus of theirs this last year, of really, engaging their members, getting, members that maybe they have lost over the years, whether it's through, seats changing, whatnot, really engaging those members.
Okay, and thank you. And yeah, and that was the point I was trying to get across for our residents to know that the Suncoast League is local, right? It's this region, this county, and a little beyond. Have we tried to do a combined lobby effort?
I think that is really what comes from the Florida League, is really who's representing all of the municipalities in their letters and their testimonies. They've been testifying at every committee during the entire session, including yesterday I saw them in the audience during the committee meeting. So I think that is really kind of where that has all been pushed. Yes, yesterday, again, I think it was, not only do they want to hear from, the group that's coordinating these, large number, but they wanted to hear from everybody individually. So there was comments being made. One senator said, he had 1,400 calls come in yesterday in opposition to this. So the calls, the emails I shared with you last week when we knew this was happening, to please make those, this is the time to make those calls and send those emails. And so the email that was sent out with the letter yesterday was to our entire Pinellas County delegation, including the Senate President and the Speaker of the House. I then requested Lindsay to send the letter to every single member of the legislature today. So hopefully those have also gone out. the more people they hear from would be better.
Well, yeah, that's what one would think, but
Right. But at
you never know.
this point, I'm not entirely
process
sure.
of making bad bills and then to work to make them better. Anyway, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that.
Anybody else have any questions? Were you gearing up to say something? You look like it.
No, just that I'm sure we have a city commission meeting on Thursday, and I'm sure under commission discussion or city manager's update or something, we'll find out what we're going to do moving forward.
Okay, so I'll go to final comments, starting with Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I can really, characterize this as in the way that this is being done is this is extremely irresponsible. And it's, to put this on the city, on a municipality, especially one that enjoys the credit rating that we enjoy. What is that, Les?
AA plus.
AA plus. And living and managing a city that provides the level of amenities that we are proud to provide to our community and our residents. And to embark upon this path with a referendum that potentially would have these fiscal impacts over the next going forward, without a plan, without any sort of dialogue with regards to how do we make up that difference? Because basically, the way that this looks to me personally is that essentially this will result in a significant shutdown of the services and amenities that we are able to provide. And I just don't know how we got to this point. And I do want to follow that up. My line of questioning was kind of where Commissioner Gao went. I think this is an all hands on deck. I greatly appreciate the Florida League of Cities advocacy on this. But I think every municipality needs to be out there beating the drum and talking about what goes away. So anyway, those are my comments.
I guess we just have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I knew I was next.
Commissioner Sandberg.
No, we certainly have to hope that Tallahassee makes the right choice. It sounds like they're going to be forced to make a choice, and hopefully that's in our favor. And then after that, we'll rely on the voters. And I'm not sure how much more we can do, but sit and wait, and it never makes it a pleasant time, but I think we've done everything we can, and now it's up to the hands of elected officials and then all of us as voters. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Commissioner Gao, final comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I certainly echo the comments of my colleagues. And just while we have been in this era of making bad bills and then, we'll try and make it better. Why don't you just make it better the first time? It seems a lot more efficient. And I just don't understand their logic and their thinking, right? Also basically trying to create a slush fund for the governor without a way to fund it or where the money would go. And they're spending even 5 minutes on that topic. It's just absurd. And so I just don't know where we're going. I'm very thankful for Nicole for the heavy lifting, the work you're doing. Very appreciative of the League of Cities and the Suncoast League. I think we should put an incredible amount of pressure on the county. They need to come out. They need to come out against this, and I don't know what they're waiting for. I understand the sheriffs and stuff, but this affects everybody. And without any discussion on how those funds will be made up elsewhere, I just don't even know why it's a conversation starter, let alone the potential to go to referendum. So I'm beyond livid on this. But thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner DeGard.
Thank you, Mayor. Ever since history began and we started seeing the concept of government, the next question has always been, how much do we pay for government? And that question's been with us ever since we had government. Where do we get the resources to pay for what we want in the way of protection and services through government? So when we compare the state of Florida against all other 50 states, and, you know, also provinces, we're 47th in expending our citizens' resources. The word excessive in this bill is a step into ignorance. They're being ignorant on purpose, and they're hopeful that they will sell the audience they're talking to. That's what's going on here. Our job's going to be to try to educate the citizenry as to what this bill will do to them, their future and their children's future. And by the way, if you dismantle government, history has shown us that it takes a lot more energy to reconstruct it once it's been taken apart. This is a dismantling of local and county government on the part of those that politically benefit from such actions. I have no countenance with this, and it will be difficult for me to constrain myself as I go out and talk into the public, because I believe we're hurting ourselves. We're shooting our foot right now. And for those of you that aren't in the top 1%, this is stupid. Don't allow this to be done to you. The very wealthy find it easy to reproduce the resources that they get from government. Those of us that are not, do not. And that's what we're doing. It's a battle of the rich against the poor again. And I will not couch my comments. I will be out front. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I was going to bring up that we're one of the lowest tax states. You know, I will hold on to some hope that at the end of the day we might be surprised. But it's already gone so far, it's hard to think that's going to occur. I'm just so disappointed in our state legislature. I'm not going to say anything about our governor. I'm just so disappointed that our legislature is, who knows? And when we were all up there in March or February, whatever it was, behind the scenes, comments like, it's going to be fine, that's crazy, it's not going to happen, we understand. We're not going to unleash that kind of chaos into our local communities. Nobody needs this. Don't worry, there'll be some minor thing done, something that'll have some help. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, but here we are. Here we are. And I will, again, hold on to hope, but right now I'm so disappointed it's gotten to where it's gone. Last night, I don't know if anybody watched Political Connections on Bay News 9, Spectrum 9, whatever it's called now. Former Senator Jeff Brandes, Republican, by the way, was on there, and boy, was he great about how rushed this is, about how ill thought out, how many open questions are out there, and yet they move on, and yet they move on. You know, rushed, poorly thought through, no way to supplement the income and lost revenue. And of course, you know, I'm glad they actually be honest. Don't keep a trust fund that doesn't have any money in it and act like that's something that's going to help fill the incredibly large gap that funds basic services to our residents. I mean, this is, to me, what's going on up there is bad government on steroids. You know, local government, and I will always say this, is the closest to the people. We are so accessible. You can come, you can talk to us, you can call us, you can run into me on the dance floor in downtown Dunedin, and I will take your question, I will hear your complaint. It is part of what I do. We all do it. We don't get a lot of money to do it, but we love this community. And this is a quality of life community, and you couldn't have said it better. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're going to struggle with basic types of services, but it's our quality of life. which, by the way, our residents voted for every time they voted us in here. Keep our charm, keep our amenities. This is why we move here. This is why people come here to visit. And I will tell you, if anything like this actually gets to the ballot and makes it through, I mean, the secondary loser will be our businesses, will be our economy. I mean, we're a tourist state. People love to come here to visit our city. And that's part of what creates the economic vitality of our city and creates the ability for us to have the money to create the amenities we have. It's irresponsible is the best word, and I'll leave it at irresponsible. That's a great word, because they know it. They know what they're doing. Which, by the way, one of the things that former Senator Jeff Brandes brought up was, where do renters fit in this? We're concerned about affordability. They're probably going to be the worst hit of all, is renters. Businesses, he made the point, you can hold down the 5 or 10% of increases to business on the property side, but what stops increasing their taxes just to help afford the amenities of the community and the basic of services of the community. So I don't know. Again, I will hold out some hope that by the end of the day, someone will do the right thing. And I'll end with, next year is a 20-year expert commission that meets every 20 years in the state of Florida to decide to talk about these issues of property tax in an intellectual, valid way, because clearly there are issues with our property tax system, and brings forward logical, thought-out, questions answered so there's not a million questions left on the table, and brings those recommendations back. But no, would we want to wait? No. Let's rush it through with very little thought to all the things that it throws everyone into chaos about. And chaos is the word. Chaos is the word. So, okay. All right. Thank you. And I guess we'll go to informational items. Anyone have anything they want to share?
I do, Mayor.
Yeah.
After the commission, of course.
Okay, so I'm
Nicole,
gonna-
stay there.
Commissioner Gao?
I'm good. I got nothing.
Commissioner DeGard?
I'm good, thank you,
Vice Mayor?
No, I'm good.
And Commissioner Sammarin?
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay, I just, two things. At some point, I did want to make sure we recognize that Nicole did receive a Rising Star Award at the Florida City County Managers Association, and we see every day why you got that award, and we're thankful for you, Nicole. Maybe we can do that a little more formally at some future meeting. And then I just wanted to Largo City Hall is having a ribbon cutting this afternoon.
Oh, really?
Mayor Brown did text me about that. I think it's 4 to 6 with the actual cut maybe happening at 5. I think they're going to do something more formal even later, but I'm going to go, and if anybody wants to go with me, that'd be awesome. So anyway, so I put that out there. It's 4 to 6, actually, and I think the ribbon cutting is going to be closer to 5. Do you know, Jen?
I just had it from 4 to 6 as well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he said it'd probably be closer to 5, but I'll probably get there around 4, but okay.
We'll see if their party's as good as ours.
That'd be awesome. What's that?
We'll see if their party's as good as ours.
Well, Scott, I'll take a little wind out of your sails, what's going on up in Tallahassee, so.
Sure.
But we do want to support them on Mayor Brown's, they're great partners with us, so. Okay, other than that, if there's nothing else for the order? Meeting? Oh.
I did, but it's actually, it was,
Sorry, meeting, reopen the meeting, thank you.
no, it was the FCCMA.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so I beat you to the punch, okay. Let me do that again, meeting adjourned.
Yay!
So you stole the city manager's.
I did.